Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salim Siddiqui and you're watching a video series on the hotconflict.com website, and we're talking about Eid, the great celebration of the Muslims, Eid al-Akbar, or the Great Festival. And we were addressing the issue of Muslims like myself gathered all around the world in their individual cities, me being here in Houston with our families, and we've gone with all the other Muslims to bow our head down to the Lord and celebrate the praises of Allah, the Lord Most High. All of us facing towards Mecca, the holy house that Abraham and Ishmael built, to celebrate the praise of the Lord, as Abraham challenged the earth that our Lord is the one who gives life and takes life, meaning the Lord Most High, Allah in Arabic meaning the actual God, capital G-O-D, the one who made the universe and everything that is in it. And we were continuing to talk about the simple fundamentals that all of this is by the plan of the Lord. That God created Adam and angels and Jinns, or the other races, or interdimensional beings, or smokeless fire creation, and we've been talking about some of those things, but we want to stick with the fundamentals just for a second so that we don't get lost in the story. And that is that God would send prophets in chains bearing the word of the book, revealing the true light, and each one of the prophets would have signs and tell the story to the other prophets, and they were each trying to find the truth of the signs. And we got to the point in the story where we got to the Prophet Muhammed, peace and blessings be upon him, and we talked to you about some of the signs of recognizing a prophet and some of the important message that changed when the Prophet Muhammad became a bearer of the light, because the story was coming to an end. Meaning that in the chain of prophets that God has planned in this story of the human race on this earth, at some point there's going to be a last prophet. And so we've been beginning to talk about the importance of that and how his messengership was for the whole world and why that was what it had to be. And then we talked about some stranger concepts, like the Prophet Muhammad was given the messengership for the other races. And we were continuing to say that you must stay focused on the truth of the story, which is that this is a battle not between one man and another man, but between light and dark. And we've been saying for this whole time that this is a battle between our race and the other races. Yet from now on we now know that the Prophet Muhammad is the prophet to the other races. So from this point on, there are believers in the light out there somewhere. They're out there. Now that in and of itself is amazing, something that no one's told you, but the unfortunate, sad truth is always something stranger, that if we believe that there are good things out there, both angels and now even jinns, and we know that not everything is bad in the universe, we realize that there is also the dark. There is also something else out there that is malevolent, not good. And if we look at the story, we go back and see some of the signs. Now, quickly to get into some of the quick information, we said we're always going to maintain this, that we're in a battle of light versus dark. And that light is the reference to the Lord Most High, above and higher than anything He has created. Now, if He is truly the Lord Most High that we're talking about, the true actual God, not as some people have misguided you and said that Muslims believe in a false pagan God or an Arab God or a moon God, we said that Islam means to submit to the story of the truth of the light. And that a Muslim is an Arabic term for one who understands the story and submits. And we said that you are hearing this story for the first time ever in the English language, in a way that you have never heard it before. And of this very moment of my telling of the tale, it will be a point in history that is marked from this day on. Now that sounds so ridiculously arrogant, and so I say, please forgive me, and don't think that I'm being arrogant of myself. As I continue the tale, you'll know that I'm just a son of Adam. But the truth of the story, once you actually understand it, there is no doubt in the word of the Lord. In actually understanding the light, and I'm not claiming to be anybody better than anyone else, but I have the ability to tell you the tale, and for that there is a reason. But you still want to know about some of the strange, funky stuff, right? You still want to know about the weird stuff, admit it. You want to know some more about some of the jinns. You're saying, yeah, the light's kind of cool. I mean, tell me about the light, but wait a second, there's really aliens? You mean the blue genie in Aladdin? That dude's real? No, this isn't some kind of Hollywood kind of conspiracy theory. This is the story of the truth in a way you've never heard it before. We know that there are other races. Now, Satan, as we all term him, shaitan in Arabic, the term is so well known. He's known as someone who is reptilian by nature, able to morph. We said that the jinns are smokeless fire. Now, tales throughout time in history of man have shown us dragons, fire-breathing, some flying, and even Puff the magic dragon as a little indication to those of you who are paying attention to the story. Puff the magic dragon being what? A nice dragon, a reptoid that's cool. Can you believe that that actually exists? Well, I'm saying that little funny thing because I don't want you to get so scared that you think, oh my God, there's aliens out there. I told you you were the superior race. But not because you are made of mud and clay, but because you understand the word and understand the story and perhaps listen on, and it might really make a difference. But because we said it's Eid, I'm gonna give a gift today for the Muslim community, right? I'm gonna give this caveat right now. If I'm telling you the stories and the mysteries of the universe, I should be able to answer a simple question that has been plaguing the common people. But I can't get there yet. I just want to give you a caveat. That Eid Mubarak for a special gift. Eid Mubarak on this auspicious occasion. Not from me, but from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's so funny. I will tell you how it works and then you'll understand what the gift is. So you want to know more about the jinns. Well, let's talk about a few little things that we understand. Now, in modern day terms, we've been trying to get back to the strangeness and saying, do not get confused in the Eastern and Western terminology. You are being given a noble, great thing today by the word that I am telling you. By Allah, I am swearing it. Today is a day unlike any other that you have ever heard. For the first time, and there is a reason, the understanding of the East is being transmitted to you in the West in the way that you can understand it. In a way that you can understand it. And so when we say jinns and interdimensional beings, and you have all these concepts of a genie granting wishes or doing things that seem like they're supernatural or beyond the power of mankind or greater than the technology at that time. Well, we've continued to tell a tale, and if you don't understand, we've made references to this all the way through the story to show how this has always been a factor and manipulated both in technology in the sense that there's a little glad tiding to my father in the way I just said that. What is it? Technology? I can't even say it the Indian way. My father is from India. Surprise, surprise. We'll get to that later. But the technology and both in their technology, listen to this, daddy, in their technology and in their abilities. In their technology and in their abilities. This is the thing that's important. And because of that, they have many abilities that are different than ours. And we said some are malevolent. And so what is it that modern day ufologists scream about and have been whistleblowing about that nobody is listening to them for? They come out and tell you that they have secret documents or contact with the alien races or government hiding information, and then other people say they've contacted some of the aliens and they've told them that people are being taken away and people are being abducted and there's strange things going on and kids are disappearing and cattle mutilations. And so all of this current information is there. So then I must be able to tell you the very words that the Prophet told us. And I'm not going to quote you, but I will reiterate in your own language that the Prophet told us, understand of the Jinn, they are malevolent and benevolent. And so make sure at night, especially when it's dark, as all the Western scientists will tell you, and I'm not giving you any secret information, I'm giving you information that you can go on any of the internets and find in this modern way that you're now hearing this message by the will of the Lord Most High, as communication has gotten to be in a position where the word could be spread, and we'll get to that in the story. Well, we know that they're communicating and we're communicating, and that this has been going on, and that the Prophet warned us 1,500 years ago. He said very specifically at one time to some of the believers in the light at that time that the alien jinns or the other races will come and pay attention at night. Tie up your belongings and your barns and maintain your stocks. Make sure you secure your water vessels because they will try to steal your water. Make sure your children are close to you at night because they will abduct your children. Why does that make sense? Well, we've continued to say in this story that we must always remain on the same fundamental. We're at a point in the universe. We're saying that the story that I'm telling you is way beyond any sci-fi tale that you've ever heard. This is the actual truth of the intergalactic struggle of humankind, of our whole race, that Adam has been warning each of his sons all the way down, as I'm telling you this story for the first time in the English language, that this is a battle between the light and the dark. And our race is in a battle with the other races. And they're abducting our people. Just kidnapping them. Free sons of Adam. As you've no doubt heard me say that we're maintaining in the story the one fundamental that all of us are sons of Adam. We're all free. We have basic human rights. We're slave to no one but God. We bow our head down to no one but God. It is the deception of Satan and the other races that have continuously granted us technology and figured out ways to get more and more of the general public of every generation in history to be enslaved. I'm not making any social commentary. I'm just telling you the truth of every tale, how it always must be. Like I said, if I'm telling you the true story of the light from the beginning till this very moment, all of it must fit perfectly. There must be no gap. And so when someone like me says, well, it is part of the deception of the side of darkness to always get the majority of mankind to be enslaved, whether the greatest of leaders know about this or not is part of the problem of the story. But you who are listening to this today on this noble occasion of the revelation of this truth for the first time in the English language are hearing something that has never been heard before. And so as I told you that the Prophet gave us all of this information, we also know, and it is there in public in our very book, like I told you, if you're willing to understand the difference between the East and the West and translate the word correctly, that other interdimensional creatures that are in the unseen world that we don't know, that are also made of water, as all living things are made of water, are stealing our water. And we know all of these facts, both in the East and the West, but that other interdimensional beings are also believers in the light. And we know that because we're telling this tale and that the Prophet Muhammed is the seal of the prophets, that we have alien encounter documented and verified for 1,500 years in a book called the Quran, the very word of God, that the Lord Most High spoke of and said, this is what's going on in the state of the war between your race and the other races. It's called the chapter of the alien races, the Jinns, the smokeless, unknown flying creatures. That's what it's called. Translate the words properly and you will understand the difference between darkness and light. And you will understand the truth of the tale that I'm telling you. And we know that even in this story, that the Jinns, the aliens, came to the Prophet Muhammad and listened to the Quran being recited. And they said that we don't believe that somebody could have lied to us about God. Can you believe that they had been deceived by the evil people of their own races? Does it surprise you? Does it surprise you that some of the alien races came to the Prophet and said, we hear the Quran and we know that this is the truth, but we don't understand that they could have lied to us about God? Well, as we said, the truth is the truth of the light and darkness is darkness. And so just as Satan has been deceiving us and we sometimes deceive ourselves, and all of us have to fight within our own souls between the light and the dark, the internal struggle, the true jihad, as I use that word for the first time correctly, fighting between the darkness of the light. Making sure that your heart is full with light is that struggle from Adam to every son of Adam. But the alien races came to the Prophet and they said, we can't believe that this has been going on. You're the final prophet and you have the word. They've been lying to us. And so alien races called Jinn have been living amongst Muslims for hundreds of years. That might be a whistleblowing shock to people in the West, but there it is, the truth. And I'm sorry you didn't pay attention to the signs, but I'm telling them to you all today so that you understand everything. Now, if you want to get more into that specific chapter called the Jinn, go read the Quran. Like I said, nothing of the tale can be hidden. All of it must be something that you can go and find any of the words that I'm saying. But here I want to tell you an interesting tidbit. That is an interesting point that will explain so much and will be a gift and a blessing to Muslims and many people who understand the beauty of this. And it is for this thing I say Eid Mubarak. That it is well known, okay, I'm going to tell you a beautiful tale and I'm going to give you some interesting points. It is well known that amongst modern day scientists that they have been communicating, like I said, I'm not a whistleblower, I don't have any knowledge of any secret government operation, just what I watch in normal day movies and pay attention to around and learn from the journey of my own life, which I'll just touch briefly later on. But it is known to modern day scientists that the other races, the Jinns, the aliens, or whatever you might want to call them or refer to them, and some have been referring to them as pagan gods or Greek gods or Roman gods or statues or symbols or zodiacs or all kinds of different things for all of this story. Are you beginning to see the light a little bit? How the misconception is always there? Remember the first fundamental, there's only one God. Everything else is a misdirection. Everything else is a misdirection. And so there's always been this thing that people have been trying to search for in this communication. And like I said, people want to understand this concept of mediums. And there's so many different ways that people do it. But you can be misguided so easily when you have the truth of how the truth is always revealed from one prophet of the light to the next is always by the word. And you have as a blessings for all of mankind the very word of God spoken the exact same way he spoke it. And so we said that the aliens communicate using sound or pitch or tone. This has been known in common day society. It's been known in the eons. For some of people. But, for example, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the first contact between the supposed government and the other alien races, it was by communication with sound and music or that type of communication. Because we said one of the things about the Jinns is they communicate telepathically, and perhaps their method of communication is not like our race, which we said was what? The word Are you paying attention to the details? And so the aliens communicate with sound. The aliens communicate with sound. And so if we understand that sound and some different frequencies exist, well, we know, just in our simple understanding, let's touch some of the basics, that dogs and other animals hear different sounds. So we must know that they're different pitches. And all of the Muslims have always known that the jinns are there and they whisper to you, but that whisper means what? A pitch of a different frequency of sound. Are you listening to the concept? And then once you get to understand that sound is what? Sound is what? Sound is something that the Lord Most High made. Just like everything else in the universe, it's alive. Sound is living. Sound is like any kind of word. Sound is word? Well, let's not get lost. Let's stay with the concept, which is communicating with the aliens or the jinns. Well, the Western world has figured out ways to communicate using sound and frequency, and we saw that even in pop culture references. It's my job to tell you the story in a way that you will understand it. Well, from an Eastern society, for example, the most pagan of societies is India, and they are known to have many strange pagan gods and known to be having a lot of interaction with the occult and the dark side and interaction with jinns. But what is not known amongst most people is that because of this long history of interaction with the alien races, the Indians have learned communication or figured out sound in ways that no one else on the earth has of the sons of Adam. And that's how come a lot of the pop culture references go back to Indians having more different pitches and sounds than what we in the West, like, I grew up in the West learning ABCD, what every good boy deserves fudge, right? You got a few basic notes. Well, if you study music, and I'm not a musician, so like I said, I'm not going to get into the details of each particular thing, but just to give you some quick points so that you understand in the tale that I'm telling, everything must fit, and I know you want to understand alien, jinns, and all these concepts. So we got to go through it quickly, that Indians have all these different levels of sound because they've known of how to communicate with the aliens or jinns, and sound is a method of communication. Now I'm going to tell you something that is even more miraculous. Because I said that every time I tell you of a miracle of the Prophet, that the miracle must be greater than this. We said that one of the greatest miracles of the Prophet, that is, he is the last prophet, and so because of that noble status, he got the Quran, the final revelation. And the Quran is the word, not actually the book, but the word to be recited, the recital. And that's because it is that which the Lord Most High spoke. And that which in the very word is something more powerful than all of the supernatural powers of any of the jinns or any technology that can be created therefrom. But just a concept. Now, here's a revelation that is coming to you for the first time in the English language. That you know that one of the miracles of the Quran, no one's ever told you this, so this is just so wild. It'll explain more than any X-File. One of the miracles of the Quran is that when we recite the Quran, the very words that Allah spoke, that Allah chose to speak in the Arabic tongue, that is the exact same way we speak it in English, that when we speak that, the sound that it makes is music to the other races that they comprehend. Now, I told you, if I was going to give you knowledge of the truth, it would be greater than just explaining to you knowledge of how they understand music. It would be a miracle even greater than that. The greatest scientist of UFOs that no one knows is in the deepest secret of the underground bunker. I wonder if he knows this truth, but I'm revealing it to you today, because it is the story of the truth that you must understand that is in the power of the word of the Lord Most High. Never get confused or lost into following any of the misguided ways of any of the evil side. We do not worship or perform any ritual or say any prayer or make any sacrifice or spill any blood or harm any living thing for any reason. This is a planet that Allah has given to us as a mercy, and all of us are the children of Adam. You would never want to harm a son of Adam above all things. Forget about any living thing. And any creature or light or power or mystic or healer that comes to reveal to you something to do that is wrong, then you must never do that for anybody. Right? What is wrong, and your soul knows that. And we said that of the fundamentals is what? That there is only one God. La ilaha illallah. And that God created the angels of light, and they are made of light and clearly known by their nature. And they can morph and come in human form, and that's true, and we don't want to get into longer conversations and make that confusing, but they do not have genders and they do not have free will. They obey the commandments of their Lord, unlike the Jinn, who we've continued to describe. But we get to the point in saying that Allah taught Adam the word, and that this story was going to occur, and Adam continued to try to teach his generations. As each generation progresses, man gets to the state that we are in, where the overall of mankind is unaware of the truth of the light, and the story is unknown, and there are forces of darkness both of mankind and of the other races. And as we said, it is from this moment on that we are given a glad tiding as the human race, that if you understand the story, you are told that now if you follow the light, you have been given the glad tiding of the final messenger, and you have been given the word of God to speak, which is more noble than any word, and that you are following the truth, and that you are on the guided path, and that as a son of Adam, you are the greatest race, and that the message that you have of the light is greater than what the other races have, and that it is incumbent upon you to spread the light to them. Do you understand the story of how noble a task it is? But how many amongst us of the sons of Adam are trying to find the secrets of their knowledge while not knowing that we are the sons of Adam, bearers of the light, the ones that the Lord Most High has said, "O mankind, and O all of the universe, I know what you don't know." And the Lord Most High, as the final fundamental, is planner and knower of all of this. So don't get misguided in this story, as I try to give you some quick fundamentals about the Jinn and explain the Eastern culture and Western culture, but it is at this point I must get to a dramatic end. And as I said, I'm going to have to start revealing truths about myself. And so I have to give a caveat that in beginning to tell the truth about myself and talking about some of the misdirection and misguidance, I have to admit that I'm just a son of Adam who has been lost much of my life, as many of the sons of Adam forget the truth of this story. And so as I'm warning you not to get lost in the search of aliens and their powers, remember the word. And because I'm telling you the story in its whole form, there is a part that I have to address here, and it is so intense that I have to give the caveat. Like I said, we're going to talk about all the secrets and reveal all the truths. Well, music. Let's just finish off music. Muslims have been debating for all time music. A stupid argument, a stupid conversation. Music is a creation of the Lord Most High. It is a form of communication. What is made to bring and communicated to increase the light is good. What increases the darkness is bad. Always stay the fundamentals. The Prophet would sometimes hear things and say, "This is good. Enjoy, be merry. It is Eid. Have celebration, sing, and enjoy." Other times he would hear a sound and know, this is a sound of darkness. Don't argue about music anymore. Understand the truth of the story. Eid Mubarak, celebrate, enjoy. If there is music that uplifts you and makes you feel closer to the light, then it is from the goodness. I'm not a musician, so I don't know. But please, don't argue about music. It's the stupidest thing to argue about anymore. Eid Mubarak. I need a break.